Can anybody see me? Can you hear me? So welcome everybody for this last session of day 4 in the Proactive Parents Conference. My name is Vivian Ani. I am the founder of the Proactive Parents Academy and the convener of the Proactive Parents Conference. This is the second edition of the conference that we started last year. And before we bring in our guests, let me share a little bit about the Proactive Parents Conference. This is a platform where we bring in parenting education, that will ignite self-awakening in parenting, self-discovery in parenting, that will help parents to commit to the process of their journey, commit to their parenting. Parenting is a role that God himself gave us and made us co-creators. It's a privilege he has given us and made us co-creators with him to be able to create the future, the reality we want to see in our children. And we cannot do that if we don't commit to a process. A lot of times what we do is to look for tips and hacks, and you can't raise a human being with tips and hacks. On that note, we have launched out a program where we want to commit to this process, not after the conference, we'll just leave it at that. No, we are bringing in a support group, an accountability group, where we get to break these things down. And so after the conference, we will be having the waiting list during the conference, between now and after the conference. And then after the conference, we'll give out details on how this program will run in the academy. So welcome everybody again to this conference. Our next speaker is coming in a moment, and he will be speaking us on raising boys who thrive. Raising boys who thrive. Why are we having this discussion? Why are we having this conversation? A lot of time, what we see, especially in this part of the world, is that we place so much emphasis on raising girls. And then you raise girls who have become all that God wants them to become, and then they end up in a marriage that they never shouldn't have, even had anything to do with. And then their life, that whole bunch of the girl child whom you have helped and raised her to become all that God wants her to become, will end up in a battered situation. All of these things are coming up because we are negligent of the boy child and how a boy child should also be raised to become wholesome. So we are bringing in Coach Ebuka, who is a boys coach, to be able to share light on it. Is there anything we need to know about raising boys? Should we leave them back to chance? Should that just be, they should just grow without being nurtured? That's why we're bringing Coach Ebuka to come and throw more light on raising boys. Well, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this platform. Ebuka Ede, who is a raising boys coach. Welcome, bro.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
So tell us about you, Ebuka, and then we'll leave the stage for you. You take it up from there. Thank you.
All right. My name is Ebuka Ede. I'm the founder of Save the Boys Initiative. And I'm really passionate about raising holistic boys. And in this space, working with boys, both troubled, both boys, in every way, helping to equip them to be responsible. Our goal is to mentor, equip, and empower boys to live positive and productive lives. So do a lot of work around boy-child development, and you can check our handles on social media, Save the Boys Initiative, and see what we do. Thank you so much for having me this evening. All right. Thank you for the great work you're doing with parents, and for having me, even with all the hitches, we are still able to pull through and get here this evening. So we're going to be having a very short time, but I believe it's going to be impactful as we're going to learn a whole lot. So I'm going to be speaking on raising boys that thrive, and I think that is key in our time, especially with what is going on in the world and around us when it comes to raising boys. We must understand that there's a purpose which God has called every child. And even as well as a boy or as a girl, there's a reason why God has called you. And we must be intentional as parents to raise them or bring them to the speed or to the place where God has called and has made every one of them. And one of those areas we'll be talking about this evening is when it comes to our boys. I always say that if our boys who are the leaders of tomorrow, because there's a strategic position God has, placed them by virtue of that gender where they will, give leadership in certain areas. So if these boys are supposed to be leaders are not trained, it shows that the generation coming, we have no leaders. If our boys are not equipped to be leaders, then the generations, coming, we have no leaders, and we know the impact of that. We're already seeing the devastating effects of boys that we are not trained. We can see that all around us, from crime to courtesan to drugs to fraud to rape, all manner to divorce, broken homes, and all manner of things we are seeing in our families and even in our nations, points to the fact that we need to do more in raising our boys. Because if they are equipped, they will not be doing what they are doing. If they are raised properly, we will not see them on the street. If our boys are raised properly, then we will have responsible men and leaders, husbands and fathers. So we can see that a lot is tied to the upbringing of boys, because boys are product of their upbringing, and there's a lot that God has placed in their hands and the future for them to do. And so when that is not, when they are not properly equipped for that, we see a lot of damaging effect in the family, in the society, in our institutions, or wherever we find ourselves. So the place of raising responsible boys cannot be overemphasized, because everybody suffers from the ripple effect of boys who we are not properly raised. So, and I ask this evening, what are we doing? How are we equipping our boys? How do we raise boys that matter? How do we raise boys that thrive, especially in this difficult time? Where a lot of our boys are now looking for easy way out or quick way out. How do we raise them? How do we begin to inculcate values? How do we bring them to a place of understanding where they first understand their identity, who they are, and how to step into what God has called them? Because what we are seeing today is identity crisis, before in the life of many boys, where boys want to be this celebrity, want to be that celebrity. Oh, this person is making money and is just useless on social media. I can also do that. Oh, this person didn't go to school, is making quick money. I can also do that. They have a misplaced priority. Not understanding who they are, wanting to be another person. How can we raise boys who will thrive, knowing that this is where God has called me to be, and there's a pattern, there's a process, there's a roadmap to getting there, irrespective of the challenges that we go through? How do we raise boys who we just know that making money is not just all God has called them to be? There's a purpose. And for you to excel, to thrive in that purpose, you must understand who you are. For you to be at the peak of where God has called you, you must begin to thrive in the area God has called you. How do we raise boys who understand that narrative? So we can first see that there's a lot going on. But when we don't understand as parents, because I always say you cannot fight a battle you're not aware of. When we don't first understand our place or what is going on as parents, we will not be equipped. We will not be intentional about raising them. I always say to people, and that's one scripture God has given me this work I do, coming from the story of Moses and Jesus, where there was a decree for every male child to be killed. We saw that in Moses, we saw that in Jesus. It's just a prototype of what God is showing us, the battle over the male child. Why was that battle over the male child? Because the enemy knows that once he gets the boy, he gets leadership, he gets the father, he gets the husband. And once these people are getting, who are supposed to be passing values, skills, character, life to our young generation, if they are missing out of it, then this family is in shambles. And once the family is in shambles, society is in shambles, because everybody who came to the society, who is the product of the society, was also a product of the family. This is where it all started. So if the family system is broken, then we are gone for it. And who is the head of the home? The man. If the man is missing in action, the man is missing in his place, then we are going for it. And we can see the impact of that. So where does it all start? Upbringing. Boys are product of their upbringing. So we are raising a child today. You are seeing into the future. You are raising that child with the mind of the future, with being futuristic in mind, with foresight, knowing that it's beyond here, it's beyond this boy, it's beyond what happens today. It's about the future, it's about what's ahead, it's about the impact this will have in the society, in our institutions, in our nation, and in the world as large. When you know that just beyond you, it's about the generation that's coming out from his loins. It's about the generation that will miss it if my boy misses it. So when we are futuristic, it helps us to run with purpose and raise boys that thrive. And parents may ask me, what are the things we need to know? What are the things we need to do to raise boys that thrive? And the first thing I always say to many parents is to dismantle limiting beliefs. Dismantle limiting beliefs. The belief that boys are bad, boys are violent, boys are this, boys are that. You cannot raise a boy that you can only raise what you see and believe. If all you believe is that boys are troublesome, boys are trouble, boys are violent, boys are difficult, boys are this, boys are hard, boys are stubborn, boys na wahala, boys na problem. If that is all you see, that's all you raise. If that is all you confess and believe, that's what you see in your son. And so most people come down, some parents say, the worst thing I say, what I fear must have happened to me. They said it, they said it, What did they say? You believe what they say, and what they said is happening for you. What did they say? What are you hearing about boys? What are you hearing about your boy child? What are you hearing about your sons? What are you hearing about other people? They said it, boys will go into drugs. Boys always follow these women. Boys always follow that. You're parenting from the place of fear and tension, from the place of misplaced information, wrong mindset. And that's that is just what you will raise. Because what you believe is what you produce. What you confess is what you produce. What you accept is what happens. What do you believe about? God cannot give you the gift of the Lord, make it rich, and it doesn't add sorrow. God cannot give you a child who will bring sorrow. God did not create any gender to come and bring trouble. So you cannot have boys and be saying, I'm in trouble because I have boys. Because unconsciously, what happens is that you begin to expect tension, begin to expect wahala, and so even when you're not seeing the trouble, even when the troubles are not there, that's what you see, that's what you begin to act, that's what you begin to manifest. So when you're expecting that he's going to be violent, so anything he does, you're just seeing violence. Anything he does, you're just sensing stubbornness. You're just sensing a difficult person. Because that's what you have perceived in your mind. That's what unconsciously you begin to see around. Because that's what I feel your thoughts. So even when the boy is acting quiet, even when he's making something that is not, you always read meaning to every action. And that's how you lose your child. Because when your mother is always seeing in negative, always, where are you going to? Are you sure you're not going to a woman? They say boys always lie. You always believe he's lying because they say boys are always liars. You begin to break relationship with your son just because of mindset. You begin to distort relationship with your son just because of your mindset. You begin to break the connection with your son just because of mindset. So sometimes when I hear some issues, I just know this is coming from a place of, an understanding you have heard in the past, and you begin to manifest or bring it before your children. See, learn to see your boys the way God sees them. Learn to see your sons the way God sees them. Because until that belief is dismantled, until that mindset is dismantled, you can't raise boys that matter. Because you always approach that boy with the mindset of what he believed. You've always approached him with the mindset of what you heard. And so there's a veil that will not allow the connection to flow. There's a veil, there's a wall. What that mindset does is to create a wall. And so when you're relating with your son, you're not seeing him, you're seeing what people say. And these boys have a way of reading your mind. So they also know where you're coming from. Mom is always antagonistic. That is always antagonistic, always looking for fault, because that's what you have in your mind. That's what they see. And once they see that, they put a blockage. So there's no connection, there's no flow. And you can't help a boy you don't flow with to thrive. You can't help a boy you've not connected with to thrive. Because it takes connection, it takes two to tango, it takes an agreement. Can two work together except they agree? No. So when there's no agreement, there can't be equipping. When there's no agreement, there can't be support. When there's no agreement, there can't be impact. Just like the Tower of Babel. God saw the unit as if allowed it, they will get to this place. So let me create division among them. And because they were in different tongues, they couldn't thrive. And so one of the reasons why we can't thrive with our boys is because we are speaking different language. We are in different tongue. What they are saying is not what you are saying. What you believe is not who they are. So there's a distortion. There's a disconnection because both of you have different mindsets. Scatter those things they tell you. Boys are not wahala. Boys are not trouble. Boys are not. They are not difficult. Really, they are not. What do you think? What do you believe about your son? What have you heard? What are you working with? Go and bury those mindsets. Go and bury those beliefs. Go and bury those things so that you can freely connect. Go and bury them. If there's one thing you will hear in this meeting to break and uproot those mindsets. Why do you believe or see your son in a light that God has not seen him? Why you see him in a way that God has not created him to be? What are those limiting beliefs? Go back and check. Go back and think about it. Go back and begin to put one and two together. So, oh, really? Is that why this boy is not acting the way he should? Is that why this boy is not, acting the way he should? Is that why he's not behaving the way he should? And that brings me to my second point. You can't raise boys that matter if you don't evolve in your learning. One of the things I've seen with parents is that you don't even understand why your son acts the way he does. So you can't understand why he's acting this way. You can't connect to help him. People say there are no books on. There are several books on boys. I've seen friends have written. There are several online. I have books on boys. I have books on men. Because when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you have not understood the psychological makeup of boys, the developmental processes of boys, what happens when they are at age 2, 12, 15, how they react, what to expect. You will want them to just become what they've not been cut out to be. Go and evolve. Build capacity as parents. Go and learn. Especially when your boys are at puberty, when they begin to go into their preteens and teen age. There's a lot of tussle. You will not discover a boy that you've been relating so closely with loving, when he's a child, suddenly begins to withdraw, suddenly begins to show you he's a man, suddenly begins to exercise some kind of features you don't understand, and extension. And you want the boy to still be behaving and be quiet like a baby? No, he's no longer a baby now. He has grown. You can't expect somebody who is already in transition to adulthood to still be behaving like a 6 years old. I see some mothers who say, you that I gave birth to, you that I fed in my breast. He has grown. He has grown. You too grow. Evolve in your learning. At puberty, do you know what to expect from boys? Do you know how they act? Do you know the level of energy they have at puberty? Do you know the level of of testosterone running through their veins at puberty? Do you know that at that time they're full of energy? Do you know that at puberty they have emotional mood swings? Do you know that at puberty the opinion of their peers matters more than that of their parents? Do you know that at puberty they prefer to even stay with their parents, their peers, more than they stay with their parents? Do you know what happens at puberty? We don't know. We just want them to be children at puberty. Do you know that puberty, their emotions are just going haywire? Do you know that puberty, that there's a lot of the season of exploration, they want to explore, take risks, do so many things. Do you know? So when you don't know, you want them to act as children. And when they're not acting as children, you're antagonizing. There's tension, there's fights, there's quarreling, there's disconnection. All you needed to know that, oh, my child is going through puberty. Oh, I can see what I read, what I learned. I'm beginning to see it. Okay, dear, do you know what you should do at this time? Okay, now you're full of energy. You can always burst forth in anger if care is not taken. This is what you should do. This is how to manage your emotion. When they begin to act, you understand that. This is what is going on. Why our children are even sparking up our boys? Because they are full of energy that is waiting to be expressed. Because you are telling them not to go to play football, not to go to do this. Now you're not giving them alternative on how to unleash this energy. So the energy is filled up on the inside of them, looking for how to burst forth. They burst forth in anger, they burst forth in violence, they burst forth in different kind of annoying behaviors because you have refused to show them the proper way to unleash their energy. You're just caging them up. And the day they will burst, it will shock you. Evolve. And that's how you can raise boys that thrive. When you first understand their makeup, what to do, and how to help them. Let's see parents who are open to learning, especially fathers. You're open to teaching your boys. I'm really disappointed with the funny stories I'm hearing from several schools, especially secondary school, of the attitude, the behaviors of boys when it comes to academics, when it comes to sexuality, dirty things. They are no longer serious. A lot of them have given hope on the academics or on education because we are not doing our work as parents. Most of them are on the street because we are disconnected from them. We can't understand them. They have questions that we cannot answer. They're looking for other places to answer those questions because they're not evolving in your learning. You can't raise boys that thrive when you don't understand the boy that you are raising. Understanding grants you access to help them to push. When there's no understanding, there's no access. And when there's no access, there's no permission to build capacity for them to explore. How are you raising boys that thrive? How are you helping them to push, to press, to become men and women, sorry, men of exploit, and then using them because they are not men of exploit, they now know how to raise women and give respect to women when they deserve it. Evolve your learning. That is how we can raise boys that thrive. First, I've talked about dismantling limiting belief, and second, I've talked about opening yourself to learning. And thirdly, I don't know how to put this that I want to say. I will just try to mesh 2 points in one. I'll talk about the emotions of boys and how we can help them thrive. Then I'll talk about the creative abilities of boys and how to bring them out. And that brings me to my thought. But let me first talk about being strategic in creating learning spaces, creative learning spaces. How to bring about creativity in their learning. One thing that most boys experience at puberty is that they begin to get tired of one method of learning or one way of learning. I needed to pass an information. They begin to get tired of a particular way of learning. So what we need to do as parents at that time is to help them think out of the box, to unbox, to bring out the creativity part of them. Now, one thing that happens at puberty is that they always get bored with a particular system or way of learning. They always get bored with routine. So, in order to bring out the best in them, there must be creativity in learning, understanding your boy's learning style, and then be creative in bringing programs, activities that will help him think, explore, expand in his thinking, and bring out the best. And so you must really understand how to help that boy bring out the best. So they get tired, they get exhausted with one method, with one system, with a particular, they are not used to this regimented system of learning. So they are not used to those regimented system of learning. And so that begins to affect their learning, that begins to affect their academics because they keep going to school, they keep wanting it over and over. So if they are going to a school where there's no creativity, where there are no different areas of method through which they can bring out the best in them, it's difficult for them to really thrive. So one thing we need to do as parents is, okay, what is my child's learning style? How can I be creative in helping him to learn? But that is first understanding his learning style. Okay, how can I be creative in bringing out the best from him in that learning? What method, what ways can I help him to learn to thrive? Not just the regimented, oh, go to school 8 to 2, do the same thing. Some teachers don't even help. Those subjects, when I begin to discover his area that is of gifting, how am I creating to help him bring out that learning, to bring out that way, to bring out that potential that is on the inside? We must begin to be creative in bringing out those processes as teenagers, as young boys, as young adults, while they are growing. Because at puberty, they get bored of a particular system or way of learning. That's why sometimes the boys just come back and say, I'm tired of school. I'm not feeling school anymore. I'm not just feeling they are just you just see a sense of weariness. You know what's happening? He's bored with routines. So creativity in bringing out their potential. Be skillful in bringing out creative ideas or ways to help them thrive. Just for example, I have sessions with different boys at different intervals. For each boy, I try to understand personally who is this boy. Okay, how can I now be creative in helping this boy thrive? How can I now be skillful in bringing out the best in this boy? How can I be skillful in helping this boy understand who he is and then bringing out the best in him? That is what creativity is all about. Because if you don't do that, your child at some point you get bored or tired, and there's no willingness, there's no strength anymore to push further because that creativity that gives him a boost, that gives him a motivation is no longer there. And they begin to lose concentration, they begin to lose interest, and they begin to decline even in their performances, in their outputs, and in releasing their potential. How skillful are you in bringing out the best in your son? We can't raise boys that matters when we are not skillful, when we are not, devising means to help them bring out the best in them. I just like to give you 3 tips. As I close, I'll just talk about the emotions because it's that area I keep striking. I keep really hitting hard as I talk to parents. Your boy is not a robot. And when we keep shutting the emotions of boys, they just grow up to be people who are just to themselves. And so even when they're having issues, they don't talk about it. And so most parents say, how can I raise boys that thrive? You can't raise boys that thrive when your son is not vulnerable, is not open to you. But it doesn't start from just as a young adult, as a teenager. It starts from how you are raising that child. Because when it's time to really impact and help him, they already put a veil because of how you have raised them. If you're the parents who always shout about, don't cry, you cry too much, you ask questions too much, you disturb too much. That boy will grow up feeling that a man should be quiet when he's going through issues. If at 4, 5, 6 say, keep quiet, yeah, man. Don't be go, yeah, man. Yeah, stay quiet. Okay, so men are not supposed to talk. Men are not supposed to cry. Men are not supposed to show emotion. Men are not supposed to ask questions. So you can't raise a boy that thrive when he's emotionless. But it starts from the upbringing. Raising boys that thrive requires you helping them understand their emotions and giving them the leverage to express their emotions so that they grow and have questions, have difficulties. They can open up to ask you, they can open up to share with you, ask questions in relevant areas, in relevant places where they're having issues, and then you can guide them and right. You can show them the path to walk and thrive. You can't raise boys that matters when they're emotionless, when they are robots, when they are hard men, when they are difficult men, when they are big boys that don't cry. You can't raise boys that matters that way. How effective are we in raising our boys? In helping them thrive in their emotions, in helping them thrive in their upbringing, in the way they feel, that will give you access to help him when the need arises tomorrow. I've talked about dismantling limiting beliefs. I've talked about being skillful and creative in creating avenues for them to learn actually at puberty. I've talked about opening yourself, involving in learning, and I've talked about raising emotionally healthy boys. If they're emotionally healthy, really, you can't impact them. You will close up when you need to help them. And the way you want to raise boys that thrive, you yourself, are you thriving as a parent? Are they seeing you making efforts to read books, to take courses, to be emotionally stable? Are they seeing you making efforts? Are they seeing you thriving in your character, in your emotions, in what you are doing? Because you are the first model. They cannot become what you are not. If you are not doing well emotionally, your parent who is always yelling, shouting, screaming, failing, then they wonder why they should do differently when the person they are learning from has not modeled that. They can't be what you are not really. So it starts from you. Asking them to read, you also deliberate to read as parents. You need them to attend to their classes. You also deliberate as parents to attend to your own course, attend to whatever you need to do. You also deliberate. Because it starts from there. Let's deliberate. Let's go back, ask ourselves questions. Where do we need to improve? What are the areas where we need to improve? Where do I need to begin to? Where do I need to work in my understanding of who they are, and how do I need to having me. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a beautiful time sharing and being on this platform. God bless you richly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ebuka. I am grateful. Thank you for this
Thank you.
honor. Thank you for
Thank
this
you.
privilege. Thank you for doing this with us and for us.
Thank
This
you.
session is awesome, it's mind blowing, it's
Thank you.
impactful and expository. I know
Thank you
that some
so
of
much.
these mistakes that parents do,
Mhm.
especially in raising boys, is actually lack of knowledge that causes it.
Yeah,
It's
lack of
actually the
knowledge.
level of our knowledge,
Very
because
true.
we grew hearing boys are this, boys don't do this. A boy can get up and walk out of the house or do any manners do not matter, character
Mhm.
do not matter, and that's why we can see the ripple effect everywhere in the
Yeah,
society.
yeah.
Just like he said, once the boy child is attacked, everywhere is attacked. The family is
Very true.
attacked, the society is attacked, the whole world is attacked. You
Very
know,
true.
we are experiencing all of these things, all of this chaos because the boy child is not nurtured, is
Very
not
true.
trained.
Very
We
true.
place all the emphasis on training girls, raising girls to become this and become that. And then we have never thought of raising this girl who have become wholesome and handing him over to
Say,
someone
boy.
who it's crazy. It amazes me of when I think of it. You are taking all your time to build this girl child, build her to become this, build her to become that, and then you now hand her over to an
Over
non-entity.
to a boy that you have, man that you have not trained.
I get frustrated with
It's
that
absurd.
idea. It's very absurd, very absurd. So I am one of those people who is so passionate about seeing boy children
Thank you
thrive,
so much. Oh,
about seeing boy children who are the standard, who are leaders, who become fathers, who are thriving. And that's why I am passionate about the work you do.
so,
The work you do. I am passionate about the work you do
thank you
because
so
it
much.
is bringing the consciousness to parents that we need to do more about the boy child.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things we are seeing is because the boy child, we missed it in raising the
Mm-hmm.
boy child. And it has
Mm-hmm.
become a cycle that we are comfortable with. No, we want to change that narrative.
Yes.
We want to bring the consciousness and intentionality
Mm-hmm.
so that we will know that in this time, this generation, we are the ones that will change this narrative and begin to
Mm-hmm.
do things differently. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for this privilege. Thank you for this awesome session. We are grateful. You don't
Thank you
have
so much
questions.
for having me. I'm grateful. Thank you
You
so
don't
much for
have
having me. I'm
questions.
grateful. Okay. Okay.
We just see people raving you and validating all that you have said because
Thank you so much.
we are streaming in so many platforms, YouTube,
Oh,
Facebook.
beautiful.
Someone is saying, how do I join your group? I
Okay.
didn't. How do I join your group? I don't know. She's asking of her children. No.
Okay, okay, you can just go to okay, for some people that want to also, like I said, search Save the Boys Initiative on any social media handle, or go to Instagram, Ebuka underscore boys coach. Ebuka underscore boys coach.
Okay,
Um,
you will share
Okay,
that
so they can
with
find
us.
me and then we can talk. Once they go to our handles, they will see programs we do for boys, and once they follow, they always get feedbacks on what we do. And I really like what you say about the kind of boys we are raising because character. A lot of our boys are lacking morals, character, and
Mm,
responsibility. And
mm,
I keep telling parents that you have a boy child does not mean he's the Lord. By the time we keep telling them, oh, you're a man, when they are cooking, he's relaxed. Mommy in the kitchen cooking. The boy is in the parlor watching. When we are not intentional to inculcate values, they grow to become like that. Then
yeah,
they start shouting, "Why are you like this? You don't have respect. You don't." Well, that's what we've unconsciously imbibed into them. You must be
yeah,
deliberate. Oh. We are really
yeah,
suffering from the ripple effect of irresponsible men in society. We must be
yeah,
intentional to inculcate values skillfully.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much for the great
yeah.
work you're doing. I'm grateful.
God bless you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
We will
you.
share the handle in the groups later,
Oh, sure, that is
and
fine.
then they can get at you.
Oh, that's
Thank you
beautiful.
very
That's
much.
beautiful.
God
Thank you
bless
so
you.
much. God
All
bless
right.
you.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
leave you at this point.
All
And
right.
God bless you.
God bless.
So, guys, we have heard it all from Ebuka again. We had Irene Bangwell before talking to us about raising girls who reign. That session, if you did not watch it, please go back to the YouTube and catch the replay. That session is everything you need to hear about your girl child. That session is, I don't want to talk about it, just go and catch the replay. Then we had the second session, the role of a father in effective parenting. Every father in this platform and beyond need to watch it. Fathers are getting uninvolved, and it has become a norm in the society today. And that's why we see parenting overwhelming mothers. Parenting is not supposed to be a mother thing. Fathers are the leaders. They are the ones that God had the mantle of their homes in their hand. And the speaker also shared about Abraham and what God told him to do. Go and catch that replay. Share it with every father in your life. Share it with every man in your circle. we need to get intentional in raising the next generation. God counts on us. We are the last people to save, especially in Africa and Nigeria. We are the last. We are the last. So if we don't get intentional and sit up to do something for the next generation, then we are setting up the next generation into turmoil. That's the truth. And lastly, we had Ebuka, who shared on us on how to raise boys who thrive. No amount of thing that will be shared in this conference can help you get into the process of all of these things. And that's why we launched this program. You can see on the screen the program we launched in the academy called Build Your Home Tribe. Build Your Home Tribe is going to be an annual program where we break all of these things into process and commit to accountability on how we show up as parents and how we raise our children. All of these things is going to come with the process we are talking about. After we share it in the conference, then what next? The next thing is to commit to a journey, commit to a process. And that's why we have Build Your Home Tribe Accountability Annual Program that will run in the Proactive Parents Academy from the next annual, the next session that will be coming in. So we are sharing these slides with this program on the screen so that you can get to us, chat us on the number on the screen, ask questions about that program if you're interested. We'll send you details on how that program is going to run. And then the waiting list is already up. People are already joining. You can chat us and then we give you how to become a member and part of that waiting list until we get the details. All of these things is to help us commit into raising wholesome children, spiritually, physically, psychologically, and emotionally. We don't want to raise children who will fix themselves in adulthood. That is what we are dealing with today. A lot of trauma that this generation is carrying, or the past generation is carrying, we can see the effects in our time today. Even us, we have not gotten healing to be able to raise children who are wholesome. And that's why we have chaos everywhere and the ripple effect is everywhere. So get the number on the screen and chat us about Build Your Home Tribe, an accountability program that will help us put all of these things into perspective. So guys, we have come to the end of day 4 and we are grateful to God for the journey so far. We are continuing tomorrow, day 5, for the conference. Get everybody in your circle to be here. Don't hold this knowledge. Share this video everywhere. Share it in your circle. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Let people come and get the knowledge. You cannot raise any child today with what you know alone. Come and learn and unlearn and relearn. Parenting is a learned skill. Parenting is a learned skill, and in the 21st century it is tougher. And because it is tougher, because the technology has come, I beg your pardon, the technology is here and we are fighting with a lot of things and dealing with a lot of things. So we need to be proactive. We must be intentional to raise the next generation. God is counting on us to do all of these things, especially the African child and the Nigerian child. I'm streaming live from Nigeria, so I know that we have a lot of limitations in Nigeria that limits the Nigerian child. Jasmine Onyuku talked about it on Tuesday, but we can live beyond above these limitations if we get intentional and get the required knowledge that will help us put all of these things into perspectives. So we'll see you again tomorrow by the grace of God for the day 5 while we get ready for the wrapping up of the Proactive Parent Conference 2021 in 2 days' time. God bless you and do have a good night rest.